Alec, Rozas, and this is ME 4611, and these are the table topic questions. So today, we will be starting with John. And my question for John is, do you believe fully switching to one of our current alternative energies is plausible? Which and why, or why not?
I definitely believe it's plausible. However, I believe it would take a lot on the part of humans in order to really change the way we do things. You know, we've become so dependent on natural gas and oil that, you know, switching over to something like solar power or hydrogen or whatever it be would really, you know, require people to change their homes and cars and, you know, the way they live, or, you know, basically, or just how they cook and stuff like that. I believe that if it was to happen, it would cost a large amount of money. I believe it would kind of be like, you know, the U.S. switching over to the metric system. You know, it could happen, but, you know, all the public schools and private schools, we have to change all of our textbooks from, you know, English units to metric units, and we have to start, you know, all of our engineering projects will also be in different. So.
Well, also, what are your thoughts on how the efficiency of the alternative energies?
Well, there's definitely, you know, types of alternative energy that are just as efficient as, you know, gasoline. You know, I recently read something that hydrogen is, you know, it can be compressed and used in cars. You know, the only problem is it takes a large amount of energy to compress hydrogen, and then it's kind of dangerous. But it is a lot more renewable, yes, but in terms of if it's worth the money and the effort to switch over, that's where it starts getting all shaky.
All right. And so for our next one, my next question is for Eric. So as 3D printing becomes increasingly accessible in price and materials for companies, engineers, hobbyists, and non-engineers alike, how do you think this will affect our current manufacturing process for sellers and buyers?
Well, for sellers and buyers, 3D printing, at least on the seller side, will make things a lot easier, because instead of having to work in things with, say, metal, or having to wait a long time for composite materials to cure, you can just print something in plastic. Now, granted, this only works for parts that aren't going to experience large loads or high temperatures, because you don't want to get something that's 3D printed and put it, you know, right next to your oven and have it melt to your countertop. So for the sellers, it'll make things a lot easier to produce. For the buyers, it can make things cheaper, because 3D printing, today maybe not as much, but in the coming years, as the technology gets developed more, it'll get a lot cheaper to produce. So buyers will be paying less for a similar product. Again, granted, they'd have to heed warnings for temperature and the like. But I think the biggest change would be for the hobbyist, because anybody can build anything with a 3D printer. You know, if you want to do metalwork, for example, you've got to buy a giant lathe or a mill or something, and that costs tens of thousands of dollars. Who has the money to spend on that? But if you can just buy a machine for a couple $100s, you can make whatever your imagination is set to.
And my last question is going to be for Tyler. So microchip implants, like the ones used for pets, is growing in popularity due to the ability of government officials and parents to locate a lost child immediately. Do you believe the benefit is worth the cost of loss of privacy?
Is this directly related to pets?
No, this is putting microchips in your children.
Children, that sounds awful.
Like what they're doing with pets, it is becoming very common. Or not very common, but it is common.
Right, that sounds terrible. Real ethical dilemma with that. I understand like a general fear for wondering where your kid is and things like that, but it's not even that long ago. And even in my childhood, or some of ours, like your parents just let you go and either come back before the streetlights are on or something to that effect. I'm not even off label with it. That's really, really bad, I feel like.
No benefits whatsoever that you could possibly think of.
There are, but it's not worth it. Oh my goodness. I'm starstruck. This this is crazy.
Like an Amber Alert, the idea would be along the lines more like an Amber Alert. Your child has been kidnapped,
Right.
has been brought possibly on a highway, who knows where they're at this point, and you could locate the child and follow them.
But the odds of that are really low. I think it would be a lot better if parents would just have a general idea of the kind of crowds that their kids are hanging out with and where they send them and where they are. Just having a general understanding of that. And also, I mean, that I would assume if you put a microchip in a child to always know where they are, they don't get that removed once they're not children anymore. So they just have that at all times. And who has access to that information? Does the government have it? Can someone take it? Like, how do your parents know? Is it just an app on their phone? And if they forget their phone somewhere and they don't have a password, does someone else just know where you are for the rest of your life and can just do what they will with that information, sell it to someone, or do something really malicious for their own benefit? I don't like anything about this. Really, if you can't tell. I just don't.
It is more common than you might want to believe.
That sounds bad. I get it for pets, but I don't think a pet has any idea like the ethical dilemma surrounding that. It's just a dog or a cat just running around doing its dog or cat thing. So I don't think it's a big deal to them. And it would be nice to know. It's a lot more frequent that a dog or a cat is just going to like wander off and forget where it lives. A kid typically knows where it should be, and as long as you tell them stranger danger, don't get in vans with people, you typically avoid a lot of things that this would even provide a benefit for. I don't like this at all. It's not clear.
I found a good one. All right, well, that's all we have for today for our table of topics. Next, we will be talking about that's it, actually. Thank you.